St. Thomas Aquinas Church is a vibrant community that dates back to 1900. For almost 120 years, our church has been ministering to the needs of our community. And while facilities and faces have changed over the years, this remains the same: our commitment to Christ, to one another, and to the betterment of our community. Our church today is an active community comprised of over 400 households. Led by a dedicated pastor and strong core of lay leaders and volunteers, there is an increasing number of ways that people of all ages can participate in the spiritual, educational, social, and service ministries of our church. In 2000, we completed a very successful campaign to build our Parish Center, and this provided a firm foundation for our future in many ways. Yet despite our strong heritage of activity and accomplishment, some significant challenges remain. There are currently many inadequacies and inefficiencies with our existing facilities, in addition to important maintenance issues that simply can no longer be ignored. Current problems with the exterior and infrastructure of our church include: our existing air conditioning has failed, and our existing heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system is old, not very effective, or cost and energy efficient. Maintaining constant, comfortable temperatures inside the church is becoming increasingly difficult throughout the year, and the church is often too humid on hotter days when not in use. The attic space of the church is not properly ventilated. During warmer months, hot, humid air penetrates and becomes trapped in the attic of the church, which has resulted in moisture accumulating and migrating into and through the ceilings and walls. Our church gutters and downspout connections are broken and failing in multiple locations, and water is pooling and penetrating into our church basement. Water has and is still getting into the perimeter of our building and has caused and continues to cause damage to the interior of our church. The west entrance railings are corroding and cracking, and the steps are cracking and crumbling. This is not only unsightly, but can be unsafe for our parishioners and visitors alike. The interior of our church needs many updates and repairs too. Our walls, ceiling, and arches are cracked, flaking, and peeling, and are badly in need of repair and repainting. The last time the entire church interior was painted was in 1991. We had a family who held a wedding in our church, and they personally came in and painted some areas of the sanctuary so it would look nice for the ceremony. Now that paint job too has deteriorated, and signs of aging, fading, and disrepair are visible again. The pews are scratched, warped, and worn. This, along with the fact that they are too close together, makes them uncomfortable to sit in for parishioners and visitors alike. There's also no place among the main area of the church for wheelchair seating without them being relegated to the front or back of the church or having them in the aisles. The flooring throughout the church, too, is outdated and worn and needs to be replaced. The lighting in the church is very dim, has limited control capabilities, and is not very cost or energy efficient compared with currently available lighting systems. Currently, the tabernacle of the church is off to one side. In recent years, the diocese has expressed their preference of returning the tabernacle to its traditional place of reverence behind the altar. And our existing crucifix is also a little small for the space and is not as prominent as it should and could be. In addition, our existing altar, ambo, tabernacle, baptismal font, and candle holders are all made of different materials and are of differing styles, when they should ideally be similar in style and made with matching materials. Our baptismal font is small, inconspicuous, and off to one side of the church, which is not the ideal position. This location makes it difficult for people to see and celebrate baptisms together as a faith community. And our treasured Mary and Joseph statues are aging, and their paint is dramatically fading. The current choir area is small and is located off to one side of the sanctuary. This makes it difficult for cantors, choir members, and instrumentalists to effectively lead us in songs and hymns of praise to the Lord. There is more than one step and no ramps up to our altar platform, which makes this most important area of the church not easily accessible to those with mobility issues. The location of our current reconciliation room creates an issue with space as people come from the parish center and enter the church for Mass or a funeral. We have no quiet place for families to take their small and occasionally disruptive children during Mass, where they can still see, hear, and are able to participate in our liturgies. Our church audio system is aging and not as efficient as current systems are today. We don't have hearing assistance devices that parishioners and visitors can use to help them better hear Mass and other special and sacred celebrations held in our church. Various improvements are needed in the church balcony, including overcoming the facts that the balcony railing does not meet church code requirements because it is dangerously low. There's also no audio or video hookups, so services and other sacred ceremonies in our church can be filmed from this ideal vantage point and then projected elsewhere if needed, such as into our multi-use gym. Also, the 12-inch step is too steep, making it difficult for choir members to move around. Our church basement, which doubles as a lunchroom for our school, has many needs too. The ceiling tile is discolored and damaged in many places. The existing lighting is not as effective or as cost and energy efficient as available lighting systems are today. The flooring is outdated, worn, and cracked in many places. There is no air conditioning or humidity control, which is causing mold in our storage and hall area. And the heating systems in our church basement and school lunchroom are aging and not effective, which means that many of our school children wear their winter coats during their lunch period. Various improvements are needed in our school kitchen, too. It is too small, which makes it crowded and more difficult to prepare and serve meals, especially for larger activities and groups. Our appliances are outdated and not up to current codes. We also don't have a large walk-in freezer. Instead, we have 5 freezers scattered throughout to meet the needs of our school lunch program. And the kitchen is not air-conditioned or well ventilated, making it uncomfortable for workers who are preparing and serving food there. Even though our parish center is just 20 years old, it is in need of some updates as well. Water has and is still infiltrating this facility and has caused some damage to the building's interior. Our parish center's lighting fixtures are also out of date, too dim, and have insufficient control mechanisms, so they're not as ideally effective or as cost and energy efficient as they should be. The parish center flooring in the lower level is cracked and worn and needs to be repaired or replaced. The acoustics in the foyer are especially problematic because it allows sound to be amplified, making it difficult for people to hear one another in conversations, especially when a larger group is gathered in this space for fellowship, which is the primary purpose and use of this space. The existing HVAC system in the parish center is nearing the end of its useful life and not as effective or cost or energy efficient as newer systems are today. The parish center's multi-use gymnasium is also in need of various updates as well. Lighting fixtures are aging, too dim, and not as cost and energy efficient as newer lighting systems are today. Similarly, the gym's HVAC system is aging and not effective at maintaining constant, comfortable temperatures. Our existing locker rooms are overly large based on our current program needs, and their current ventilation systems are not efficient and up to current code requirements. In addition, the locker rooms are being used for storage because we don't have adequate storage space for all the furnishings, equipment, and supplies that are used in the gym and parish center. The parish center's kitchen is small, and the layout is inefficient, which makes it difficult to prepare and serve food, especially for larger groups and events. And the appliances are outdated and not up to current code requirements. Then there are some basic improvements that need to be made at our school. The school facilities' entrances are not handicapped accessible, and the cement at the south entrance is in particularly bad shape. It's worn down and has many large crevices, and our students traverse this area multiple times each day, increasing the potential for someone to trip and get hurt, which we obviously don't want. In addition, this south side main entrance is not very prominent or easily identifiable. And because our school offices are scattered throughout and not located immediately inside this entrance, our building is not as safe and secure as it otherwise should be today. We must address the water infiltration issues into this facility so that water is no longer able to penetrate and do damage to the interior of this building, which is used not only for our school but for faith formation as well. The boilers and pumps in our school facility are 27 years old and nearing their useful life expectancy. Electrical panels and equipment and the light fixtures are out of date and not cost and energy efficient, and the lights don't produce the amount of light needed. We don't have central air conditioning in our school, which means that each classroom has an individual unit. That is not only ineffective, but it's expensive and creates extra noise and takes up additional needed classroom space. We try to keep the lockers in the hallway looking nice with colorful paint, but the bottoms of the lockers are rusted due to many years of use. And we suspect there is mold behind them from a prior roof leak, which can be dangerous to our students' and staff's health. Our school restrooms' plumbing system and fixtures are original, unsightly, and unsanitary. The tiled walls and floors are dated, discolored, and damaged, and the restrooms themselves are not handicapped accessible and code compliant. Our fire alarm detection and notification system is not as efficient or effective as newer systems are today. And finally, our playground equipment is extremely worn, and additional green space is needed for recess and games. We need to make various improvements to our parish grounds, too. There are too few lights throughout the outside of our parish campus, and the lights we have don't cast ample light. This is problematic from a property and personal safety and security standpoint and puts both our property and the people that come to and use our facilities at risk at night. There's also no signage denoting our church elevator entrance, which leaves some people who need and want to use the elevator wandering through the building in order to find the church elevator. And there are additional things we can and should do, too, along the lines of general grounds maintenance and landscaping that are needed to further beautify our parish property. We also have no money set aside in a reserve fund for things like future emergencies and maintenance needs. To address these needs, we have an exciting plan which calls for updating of our facilities to meet our needs for the foreseeable future. Various exterior and infrastructure improvements to our church building are planned and include: we plan to replace our failed air conditioning unit at the church and to upgrade our existing heating, ventilation, and air conditioning (HVAC) system, including the air duct and distribution equipment, with a more effective and cost and energy-efficient system. Adding ventilation to the attic space of the church, which will keep air moving, this space drier, and will prevent moisture from accumulating and migrating through the church ceilings and walls. Repairing our church gutters and downspout connections and addressing the water infiltration issues around the perimeter of the church building. Repairing the railings and stairs at the west entrance of our church. Improvements to our church interior are planned too, and include repairing the walls, ceiling, and arches of the church and repainting the church interior. Replacing our church seating with beautiful new traditional hardwood padded pews that will be spaced further apart and angled slightly toward the front center of the church to improve people's views of the altar. Providing some shorter pews throughout our church to accommodate wheelchair seating so they will feel a part of rather than apart from the gathered assembly. Replacing the flooring throughout our church with beautiful, long-lasting, commercial-grade carpeting in the main body of the church and vinyl flooring under our pews. Installing more efficient and effective LED lighting throughout church with additional control capabilities. Relocating the tabernacle to its traditional place of reverence immediately behind the altar. Suspending a new and slightly larger crucifix above where the tabernacle will now be placed. Modifying the altar, ambo, tabernacle, baptismal font, and votive candle holder so they are all of similar material and styles. Adding a new backdrop wall called a reredos behind the tabernacle that will draw people's attention to the altar, crucifix, and tabernacle, which are the fitting focal points of our church and worship as we celebrate the Eucharist. Repainting our treasured Mary and Joseph statues to their original impressive colors. Creating a new handicapped accessible ramp so the altar area will be easily accessible to those with mobility issues. Moving the baptistry to just inside of the main entryway at the back of the church and constructing a new, more prominent font that will serve as a place where we can all see and celebrate infant and adult baptisms and renew our baptismal vows together as a faith community. This will also serve as a place where people can bless themselves as they enter our church. We also plan to relocate the choir to where the baptismal font is now, so our choir will be more visible and effective in leading us in songs and hymns of praise to the Lord. The reconciliation room will be moved back slightly into what was the original church narthex to provide a large space for private and face-to-face confessions. Adding a cry room across from the expanded reconciliation room will provide a quiet space for families to take their small and occasionally disruptive children where they will still be able to see, hear, and participate in our liturgies and other special and sacred celebrations that are held in our church. Updating our church audio system and adding hearing assistive devices will complete this transformation process, which will help to make our church more welcoming, inviting, and appealing. In the balcony, we will add glass to the top of the railing to ensure safety and meet code compliance. For additional safety, we'll also reconfigure the floor to have 2 smaller and even steps, as opposed to one 12-inch step up to the seating area. And we'll provide new audio-video hookup capabilities so that services can be filmed from this position. Various improvements to our church basement, which doubles as our school lunchroom, is also part of our plans. These plans include replacing the ceiling and updating the lighting with LED fixtures, replacing the basement flooring with new, updated, more attractive flooring, adding air conditioning and/or humidity control, as well as an improved ventilation and heating system, and repainting the entire church basement and school lunchroom, which will further enhance its renewed beauty and enhanced usability. We also plan to improve our school kitchen by adding air conditioning to keep our kitchen comfortable for all who work there, upgrading the kitchen's cabinets, countertops, and appliances so we can more easily and efficiently prepare for, serve, and clean up after all and especially larger events, adding a large walk-in freezer, adding code-compliant sinks, exhaust hoods, and fire protection systems. We are also planning improvements to our parish center, which include addressing water infiltration issues and making needed repairs inside of the building that were caused by water leaks, updating the parish center lighting to LED fixtures with a better control system, replacing or repairing the flooring throughout the lower level of the parish center, upgrading the acoustics in the foyer so it deadens the noise level, upgrading the existing HVAC systems with new energy-efficient equipment that incorporates code ventilation requirements. In the gymnasium, our plans include repairing the water damage and repainting both the gymnasium and the locker rooms, updating lighting fixtures and the HVAC system to more effective and cost and energy-efficient systems, reconfiguring and downsizing the locker rooms and updating their ventilation systems, enlarging our existing gym storage room to accommodate all of the furnishings, equipment, and supplies that need to be stored there, and possibly closing off the stairway to create additional storage. Our parish center kitchen could be modified a bit too. Plans include possibly removing the bathroom on the south side of the kitchen and expanding the kitchen into that area so that this kitchen can accommodate larger groups and events too. Improving the layout of the kitchen and updating the appliances for more efficient food preparation and service. We are very proud of our school, and it is a vibrant part of our parish, and we want it to stay that way. Enhancing our facilities can help to ensure its vibrancy and viability. Our plans for the school include creating an expanded, more easily identifiable and accessible, safe, and secure main entrance on the south side of our school. To accomplish this, we will expand this entrance outward toward the street and create a level entrance where parents can pull up and drop off their children right in front of the school. Directly inside the entrance will be our new school office center. We'll relocate our second grade classroom, which will house a reception area and our school secretary, an office for our principal, along with a teacher's lounge and restroom. Having our office located directly inside the entrance will ensure all visitors to the school are seen and are safe to proceed to the classrooms. Other improvements planned for our school facility include addressing water infiltration issues in this facility so that water can no longer get into and do damage to our school, replacing our 27-year-old beyond life expectancy boilers and pumps, replacing and upgrading existing electrical panels and equipment, updating energy-efficient LED lighting throughout the facility with added control capability, updating the mechanical systems in our classrooms with dedicated units, removing the main-level water-damaged lockers and any mold found behind them, and then installing new ones in their place, reconfiguring the facility's restrooms to meet current handicapped accessibility code requirements, and adding new, more efficient plumbing and more sanitary fixtures and furnishings in an updated color scheme. We'll also upgrade the fire alarm system. And finally, we'll purchase new playground equipment. Exterior improvements include upgrading our exterior lighting for improved night safety, adding signage for the elevator entrance of the church so that those who need it the most will be able to more easily find it. We'll also complete some general grounds maintenance and landscaping to further beautify our property. To address our needs and plans, we are initiating an ambitious fundraising effort titled the Faith in Our Future campaign. Our aim with this important effort is to raise the funds needed to improve our church, parish center, and school. Our campaign council recommended that we set a minimum goal of $1,500,000 for this effort, which is in line with what they feel we can minimally expect to raise. However, we would like to do better than that, so we have decided to set a goal of $2 million, which will enable us to complete all our improvements without debt. Funds raised over and above that sum will go into a reserve fund so that we can begin to care for our facility in a more proactive manner. In order to reach our financial objective, we will need both a substantial number of givers and a few fairly substantial gifts. And to ensure that we reach our objective and our potential, all members are asked to consider special gifts over and above what they may already contribute regularly to us. Gifts to our campaign can be made in a variety of ways. Long-term subscriptions or pledges payable over 3 years are easier for most and essential to meeting our goal, since it would be impractical, if not impossible, to reach our objectives with one-time out-of-pocket gifts. Pledge gifts may be paid in monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, or annual installments via cash, credit card, or direct deposit gifts at the donor's discretion, and a 10% or more initial investment toward your total pledge is encouraged and requested. Non-cash gifts are an additional or alternative way to support our cause. These types of gifts include gifts in kind, such as labor and materials, gifts of security, such as stocks, bonds, or gifts through qualified charitable distributions, such as IRA rollovers. They also include gifts of real estate, such as marketable land, homes, vacation, rental, and commercial properties, or even valuable personal property, such as precious metals, gems, jewelry, artwork, collectibles, classic automobiles, watercraft, and mobile homes. And finally, you can also choose to support our efforts through deferred gifts. These are gifts that can be given or arranged for now, but will not be received until later, and include gifts of new or fully paid-up life insurance policies, certain types of trust arrangements, and gifts through a person's will by bequest. All non-cash and deferred gifts, however, must be reviewed and approved first by the church. Matching gifts may be a possibility too, so check with the company you work for or have retired from to see if they match gifts to a cause like ours. Donors of these specific gifts will have their names and/or the names of those they are honoring commemorated in some special way, as will donors of all gifts to our campaign. Whatever your gift or the method of making it may be, please be assured that your support is both urgently needed and will be greatly appreciated. Through the prayerful, volunteer, and financial support of many, and the extraordinary support of a few, our campaign can and will be a success. And then our past accomplishments as a church will only be a prologue to an even more promising and prosperous future filled with even greater success. Won't you please join us in this exciting and essential effort to better ourselves and our ability to serve God and one another through the works of our church?